Top of the day to you all, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's edition of Press R. As a pupil, I was taught that history is the study of past events. But as I grew up to a student and later a researcher, I learned that history is not only the study of past events, it is the study of past events to understand and better manage the present in order to predict and build a solid future. And there is no solid and sustainable future whose foundation is not on education. For whatever reason, education should not be destroyed. Education should not be a target. Education is the wrong target anywhere, anytime in the world. The right to education is an inalienable right to a better life. Let the children go to school in Cameroon. I am Kilian Ndandifon in Yaoundé. You're welcome back. Back to School 2024. What are the measures taken to ensure a successful school year? We're going to discuss this topic today with officials from the Ministry of Secondary Education, also from other stakeholders in the education sector. I'm talking about Mr. Fombo Julius, who is Inspector Coordinator General for Teaching of Computer Sciences in the Ministry of Secondary Education. You're welcome to Press Asset today, sir.
Thank you, Kilian, and my pleasure for inviting us to be part of this program today.
Yes, I should introduce another official who is from the Ministry of Secondary Education. I'm talking about Madame Namondo Bridget Ngomba. She is the technical advisor to the Minister of Secondary Education. We are very, very pleased to have you on our set.
Thank you very much, Kilian. I'm also very happy to be with you at Press R today.
We are happy that you have come, and I'm going to introduce a journalist on the set, Bizel B. Mafo. She is a journalist, and Kama today.
Kame today.
Kame today.
Thank you very much, Kilian, for inviting us. And I'm particularly happy today because I'm bringing good news to student journalists. I was once a student journalist myself, and today I am practicing. So I'm bringing the very good news to all the student journalists, both current and aspiring, through the Kame Today News Project. So I hope that they are listening, and especially the stakeholders, which are the journalism institutions in the country.
Yes, Kame today, I suppose that is Cameroon today?
No, Kame Today. Oh. That is the name of the project.
Okay, is the name of the project.
Yes.
And let me introduce to you our former senator. She is senator. She has so many titles, but we are going to take her today on Press R as a proprietress. I'm talking about Senator Nkeze Emilia. You're welcome. We are pleased to have you on our program today. I should also say that I said you have so many caps. You are an educationist at a very high level also.
Thank you, Kilian, for this opportunity that you've granted me. And I wish to seize this opportunity to say that this program, you've run it unperturbed over a period of time. You've respected time. You've chosen panelists here that are worthy of the salt. And I think that by God's grace, we are going to help the Cameroonian population to understanding why the school year must begin tomorrow the 9th, and why we have to keep away sentiments and bring in reason so our children are educated.
Thank you very much. For 4 years and counting, almost 5, we've been running this program, as you rightly say, unperturbed, and we do not even rebroadcast Press R. Our backbone here is the Director General of CRTV, Charles Ndongo, who makes sure that we have every edition of this program and make it succeed. We just want to let you know that each time you have any suggestion, you bring it. He is open, we are open, and Press R is here for us. Let us introduce the last person on this program, who is a traditional ruler. His title is Seseko, one of the, it should be the highest title in Manu, in the secret societies, I think so, except you tell me that that's not the case. You are an educationist, you are a civil society activist as well. I'm talking about Seseko Dr. Eyong Ta. Welcome to Press R.
Thanks, Kilian. It's a pleasure to be here again today. Greetings to the other members of the panel. I'm pleased to meet two of my mothers that I know so well. And it will be a pleasure for us to share ideas and try to do our own little contribution to nation building, especially with this critical issue of back to school in the two English-speaking regions. We just hope that our opinions will be taken into consideration, because we will try to be as factual as possible.
We have to be. I trust you. You are always as factual as possible, and our viewers trust that that's what you're going to do today. We will visit the newspapers, and in our newspaper review for this week, as usual, is Yoti Kalele-Songe, who read the newspapers for Press R. Yoti.
The most prominent headline on the tabloids this week is the 2024 summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, which kicked off in Beijing on Wednesday, September 4 and ran till Friday, September 7. The lone bilingual daily Cameroon Tribune updates readers on the head of state's sojourn in China for the fourth meeting of its kind, emphasizing that President Xi Jinping has promised an aid package of about $50 billion to African countries over the next 3 decades to strengthen Sino-Africa relations. Municipal Updates sheds light on the same story, first by explaining that while the head of state's instructions for Prime Minister Joseph Dion Ngute to restore calm in the lion's den were yielding fruits, before proceeding to state that President Biya was also on an offensive in China for the nation's interest. The dawn of the 2024-2025 school year in Cameroon has come with calls for the peaceful resumption of schools in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, another pertinent issue in this week's print media publications. The Horizon newspaper recounts in detail the plea of Archbishop Jose Avelino, Cameroon's apostolic nuncio, where he urges the population to let children attend school and then together work for peace. After the apostolic nuncio, the U.S. Embassy also decried the violence in the northwest and southwest regions, reiterating on the right to education, as explained by the Guardian Post. Nonetheless, Municipal Update discloses that the Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lionga, has offered a consignment of didactic materials in schools in the Fako division of the southwest region, pointing out innovations such as registration numbers for secondary school students throughout the national territory. In other news, board members of the Special Council Support Fund for Mutual Assistance, FACOM, have cancelled the debt of some 62 councils in the crisis-hit northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. According to the Guardian Post, the debt sums up to over 4 billion CFA francs. In sports, Cameroon Tribune filled football fans in on the ambience around the Cameroon-Namibia match before the September 7 clash at the Romde Aja Stadium in Garoua for the 2025 AFCON qualifier. Other stories, like that on the fire incident in Bamenda, narrated by the Post newspaper, which caused the death of 3 children, coupled with a Changhil bus accident on September 4, leading to 8 deaths and 62 injuries, kept readers informed about the current situation in Cameroon throughout this week.
Yes, you just noticed that the voice there is not that of Yoti, who is on press review beat. It is Leila Benyela, a journalism student on internship on CRTV. Of course, Yoti Kalele-Songe is coaching her. Thank you very much, young lady. I want to welcome you again and welcome all our viewers who are on CRTV right away, to remind you that you are watching Press R, and we are broadcasting live from Studio 4 and CRTV Production Center, Mbala 2, Yaoundé. Our topic is Back to School 2024. What are the measures taken to ensure a successful school year? I've introduced the panelists, and we're going to delve directly into what the papers said, and as usual, we're going to call on our journalists on the set to tell us, pick one or two stories that you selected that caught your attention from the newspaper review, and then we talk about before we go into our subject.
Since we are talking back to school, thank you, Killian. I'll definitely come to the measures which have been put in place. I noticed I couldn't let it slip by what the minister has been doing in terms of helping those in the regions, in the northwest and southwest regions, to get ready for back to school, especially what she did in the Fako region, in Fako, is very important. And I don't know what is wrong with those who keep saying that schools should not resume. I don't understand what their aim is. Because if children are not educated, what are you expecting from them? Youth are the leaders of today. If they are not ready, how would they be able to take upon the responsibilities that you expect of them? And then we are just fresh from the victory of Cameroon versus Namibia yesterday, with all the controversy that surrounded that game. We are happy that at the end of the day we came out victorious, because if the result or the outcome was something else, I don't know how the country would have accepted the news, but we are happy that at the end of the day we came out victorious.
Yes, Senator Emilian Keze, you want to talk about the same topics, or do you have another topic that caught your attention in the newspaper review?
I wish to say that the Minister of Secondary Education went down to the field to assure that and lay emphasis on the storyline that schools should resume tomorrow in Fako. And I would want to seize this opportunity to say many other elites in different parts of the Northwest and Southwest have been doing the same. That tells you that the clarion call for schools to resume is not falling on deaf ears. I'll just seize this opportunity to say the Lebialem community, the Lebang community did that in their community hall. The Widikuma Begum community is about doing that. If they've not done it today, then it's on a later date, but I know that fees have already been paid for some vulnerable children. My dear panelists and Mr. Killian, what I cannot comprehend here is the fact that a later date is given for schools to resume. If the story was that schools should not go on at all, I would have understood. But why are we having the same end of course examination that is going to give credibility to the certificates that will be accredited by the government of Cameroon, and then we say schools should go on a later date and let the children face the same questions where the GCE board that has its subvention from the government is setting? I'm unable to decipher where the problem is coming from. If the issue is that schools should not resume, that's a different story altogether.
And it shouldn't even be.
And it should not resume and should not even exist. That's a different story altogether. But coming to think that a different date is given for schools to resume, and the same curriculum that the government has put in place will be used, the same examination will be written all over the territory, the same certificates will be accredited by the government. I mean, you explain to me where the problem is coming from.
Makes no sense.
I don't see the sense in this.
Yes, thank you very much, Mrs. Namundo, Bridget.
Yes, thank you very much, Killian. I will still reiterate on the issue of boycotts and lockdown that have been called by some of those in the Northwest and Southwest region. They should know that schools have the normal run of school time. So, be it in the Northwest or in the north of Cameroon, we'll all start at the same time and write the same exam. So, to me, education in these two regions needs to be freed from attacks. All educational institutions should be left to operate on the step. So all these lockdown and boycotts, I don't find them necessary. They should end all these disturbances to our education system.
I bet you, I know Siseko Eyongta, he will be harder than you. Yes, Mrs. Namundo talked about attacks. We should condemn attacks. We've had attacks this last week, and the lockdown is another plan to attack. We have to condemn that type of behavior in strong terms. Siseko.
Yes, Killian, I would like to emphasize that, firstly, the way we put this argument is very important. If we don't play diplomacy, if we don't play lobbying, if we don't put the issue to the separatists in a very dynamic and soft manner, it is instead going to aggravate the situation. Mm-hmm. The first thing to acknowledge is that the armed conflict is still ongoing, and that it is very intense in certain areas where schools have not been going on. The second thing is to emphasize the fact that this is not the first year that the school boycott or the postponement of reopening is done. What is so specific about this one is the fact that it was first said that it will be 1 month, whereas in the past years it has been a sort of a 1 week issue, which was not good, but was better. This time around, the question is, why have they done so for a month? That is where we should be talking about, because when we don't diagnose the causes of why things are instead getting worse instead of getting softer, it becomes a problem to propose solutions. So I strongly think that, for example, if we want to talk to the separatists who are campaigning for the postponement of school reopening, we will have, first of all, to acknowledge the fact that they, for example, are fighting with the intention that they are doing what we call self-determination. They want autonomy, which is an acceptable right in the United Nations. And so if you are fighting for a right which you claim that, not claim, which is rightfully acknowledged by the United Nations, we have to make them to know that there are also other rights which other people also need to claim. For example, the right to education. So while you are fighting for self-determination, which is right, you have to also see that the children also have a right to school. But if we just go about saying that, they will not see any reason about that. So you cannot be fighting for a right and depriving another person from getting his or her own right. Those are some of the things we need to put forth as argument so that they should know that even within the United Nations, which they are hanging on, or the international rights which they are hanging on, the right to life is also one that is very prominent. As a human rights activist, I would tell them that you cannot be attacking people who give you life. Those of the separatists, for example, who are even writing about lockdowns, they don't do so in our mother tongue. They do so in English, and some write very good English, which means that they went to school. These are some of the arguments that we have been putting on in social media and some of the forums that we are with the separatists, and it led to some of them doing a backpedal. For example, a prominent activist like Mark Barretta is standing on the fact that the resumption should not go up to 1 month. The resumption prolongation should not be up to 1 month.
Why should there even be any...
No, that is already what they have been doing, because we must acknowledge that there is an armed conflict going on, and they think that when they hook on that, it's going to... No, education is a softer part. And they thought that since it touches everybody, when they hook on it, it's going to give them a possibility to have something to argue about. That all of us who come from that region know. So to me, it is not the first time that they are hanging on this, but their aggravated intention is where there is a problem. Because, for example, for all these years, Mondays have been out of school. All of us know that they don't go to school on Monday. So if we take now the case where 1 month will be added, we take the Mondays that are certainly going to be added, it becomes very serious. We have reminded them, for example, that if they look at the way schools are going on, today, the quantity of students who write the final year exams in our subsystem has moved to the other regions. Usually it used to be the Northwest as first position, followed by the Southwest. Today, the Northwest has gone to the 5th position, the Southwest is at the 4th position, the first position has gone to the Center region, the Littoral, and the West. So we cannot be fighting for something that is benefiting the other side that we are fighting for. So to me, as I said, the argument that we have to use to defend our position that back to school should not be perturbed, should be in a way that those listening to us on the other side should know that we are not saying so in order to look at them as the devils that some people do. We are instead trying to put some reasoning into their actions and decisions so that it can also help those who are in the field.
And then you should tell them that they shouldn't kill
That's why I said one of the among the rights of going to school, the one of life is also prominent. Because we, for example, I have principals, colleagues who have died because of that.
Yes.
I have others who have been kidnapped and who paid ransom because of back to school. I have others who are internally displaced and are going through thin and thick because of the crisis. So we can easily and clearly tell them that some of these people going through all this are our friends. They are our brothers, they are our sisters, they are even some of their relations. For example, in one of the forums, one of our opponents, I will call it opponents in quotes, was decrying the recent killing of a very close one of his by gunmen, one of the men of God who was killed in the Northwest.
Yeah.
He's a very close person to one of those in the forum who advocates for school boycott. So when these things happen, that's why I say those of us who are close to that, we need to make this talk in a way that they see it as why they are fighting what they are fighting. They cannot deprive others also from what they rightfully need to have, especially as they are expressing themselves in the language that they don't want children to go and learn also to do same. And their children, for example, we know years behind where some separatist leaders showcase the graduation of their close ones, of their own children.
Out of the country.
Yes. And most of the separatist leaders, the minimum that I know is that they have at least a BA or a BSc. Some of them even have master's degree.
So you cannot have that and stop other people from...
And a good number even have PhDs, like the Cho Ayaba and the Sako, they have PhDs in academics.
Yes.
So these are some of the things that are a little bit difficult to comprehend.
You see, I agree with Seseko to a certain extent. You see, you don't pamper a situation which is eating very deep in the fabrics of life. When God decides to give life, he never gave the 10 commandments for people to come and panabit it and from theirs. We are all English-speaking Cameroonians. We all have a common problem. We agree about marginalization. We agree. We agree about so many things that have come to play. But what we do not agree about is the methodology of the expression of what is happening. That's one. Two, when you have a quarrel with a fight with your wife and a neighbor knocks at your door, open that door and listen to that neighbor. That neighbor is definitely coming for peace. I say so because for the past years, the school boycott has been used as a tool for people to come to terms with the fact that there is an issue, a problem plaguing the Northwest and Southwest. I think this is the first time that the Pope has spoken.
Yes.
I also think American Embassy has spoken.
Exactly.
Now, these are neighbors that are coming in to see what to do. And they have the interest, the human face that we have to put on at heart. I say so because, like he rightly says, these people are speaking without Cameroon. They are out of Cameroon and they are sending the messages in English, which means they went to school. Because we have 255 languages in our country here, and English and French are the ones that our colonial masters came and put in place so they can transmit and translate what they want us to understand. So therefore, this should not be the prerogative for us to kill each other. School, we are sending children to school so they can replace the leadership of tomorrow, so they can be able to go into the archives of what the 1960-61 independence issue was all about, so they can be able to read and understand the misconception of the Fumban treaty, so they can be able to know where they are coming from and where they are going to. Now tell me, when the students or the children don't go to school and this story, which we know, is heaped up in archives, how do they continue the fight, which the slogan is, we shall fight to the last man standing? Yes, you are fighting because you read what Foncha, you read what Muna, you read what Ahijo, you read what Joa did and was written and kept. What you are doing now, when it will be written and kept, how do the children read it?
Look at you. Thank you very much for that very, very, very incisive contribution, Senator Nkeze Emilia. Thank you very much for the contribution. Now, we are going to look at the measures put in place. The thing, first of all, is security problem. It is not at our level, not at your level as officials of education to take security measures. Those who are involved in taking security measures are doing that. But we want to know how you, as educationists, as officials in the education sector, are making it sure that schools reopen and go on well in the 2024-2025 school year? Beginning with you, Mrs. Namondo, what are the measures that your ministry has taken to ensure a safe start and then a safe school year?
Thank you very much, Kilian. Yes, the Ministry of Secondary Education has done a lot for the reopening of this academic year. It first started on 21st of August 2024 with a pedagogic reopening of the academic year, where all the regional delegates from the 10 regions came and all education stakeholders, directors were all involved for the roadmap for 2024-25. We even did a retrospective of 2023-24 academic year, where some of those weaknesses were identified and measures taken for them to be corrected. So at the moment, staffing situation has been redressed, principals have been appointed, and discipline masters, vice principals have all been appointed. The minister did that 2 weeks ago. And in the respective schools, administrative meetings have been organized. Principals, teachers are already in their schools. They have received their timetable to start the academic year 2024-2025. For the Northwest and Southwest region, as you said, we cannot dwell into security, but security has been taken care of at that level. The governors of these two regions, with the Ministry of Secondary Education, organized some buffer schools to house some of the schools in safe zones, because we cannot, as the minister said in her interview last week, that she has not said teachers should go to where they will be killed or students to go to where they will be killed. So we should identify, and she intensified on this aspect that the parents should help to collaborate with the school authorities. So they should work hand in glove, because if we have to make this school safe, the role of the parents is very
So the buffer zones are areas where you group
buffer schools. Yes,
schools.
we have brought some schools from those dangerous places to relocate them.
Okay.
So into premises where there are security measures. And teachers too have been redeployed, so that all the schools and their teachers are working maybe on a same premise. We have 2 or 3 schools in one. So those are the measures the Ministry of Secondary Education has taken in those two regions. And to supplement this, as I said, we know that the school year runs the same in all the regions. So this, in face of this safe school, the minister is on distant education, because this distant education is going to help these vulnerable students to make up for those lessons that they have missed, or for reasons or the other. Even in regions like where we have floods, this is going to cover up and fill the gap and bridge this gap, so that the students will all be at the same level.
I think you should not lose sight of adding that during the COVID-19 period, the distance learning method was brought up, and the physical contact was not a problem anymore. Students got their lessons, and that has been improved upon. And now with the security, it has just fitted in like a square hole in a square peg.
Exactly.
Yes, okay. Now, that's what is done at the level of, we are going to go into some other details, level of secondary education. Senator Nkeze, you are a proprietress. What have you done at the level of private education? We want to take you as a case study. How have you prepared to make sure that this year starts well in your school?
I will borrow the adage from the Minister of Secondary Education, which is clean school. Clean school is an adage she has come up with that has to do with management of personnel, the campus in which the students have to learn, the management of funds, and above all, the methodology of the teaching and learning process. Therefore, as soon as the results of the official results began trooping in, I took necessary measures. I took necessary measures at once. I made sure that all the benches that had little problems to be arranged were arranged. I put up an official employment announcement for teachers to come up with their application files so that I can have time to study them. I made sure that I visited the reasons why the little percentages that we lost. I'll just quickly, no publicity sake, but it's necessary for me to say the ordinary levels we had 97%, the APC 92%, baccalaureate was a scandal in this country, we had 50%, and probatoire we had 87%. That tells you that the environment, the teaching learning process is going on well in my school. And not to cause any condemnation anywhere, preparation is very vital, but early preparation is important. Don't wait until when an academic calendar is brought to your notice, then you start rushing left and right to see what you will do. Make sure that because you don't have a fixed date of reopening, you get yourself prepared at least 2 weeks before September. So that as soon as the ministry comes up with a calendar, with the academic calendar, you are fit. My campus is ready. The chalkboards have already been darkened. The administrative meeting, we had it on Monday. The staff meeting, the principal told me they had it on Thursday. The list of books are already at the bursary. In my school, I've decided to give uniforms for free because that school, I'm using it as a pilot center to assist internally displaced people. Like Seseko said, there is a huge migration from the 2 warring zones into all other regions. And at my own little corner, I thought that, what can I leave as a mark in where I live? I made a census of the environment and discovered that one person is hosting about 9-10 people. And speaking frankly, with economic recession in our country, that person may not be able to send all of those children in government schools, which are also crying for space. So I thought that if I come up with this whole idea of creating a school, and then I give some privileges to IDPs, there will be a reason for every child to go to school, especially the English-speaking Cameroonians.
How many IDPs and other vulnerable people do you have in your school, and what are you personally doing to help them?
There are about 30 as at now. They pay half of the fees. So if the fees is 100,000, they pay 50% discount. Mm-hmm. And so I think the other 50% is to beef up the financial constraints so that we can be able to pay teachers regularly. But if it comes in a situation where there is ocular proof that there's a displaced person who cannot even feed himself, neither can he send the children to school, we will still get into the nitty-gritty of how to supplement and see how that child to go to school. I say this with a lot of pain because nothing lasts forever. Someday this crisis will come to a halt, and the haves will continue to have, and the have-nots will continue to be down there, because there will be an ascension of employment, and those who were able to sponsor children will send their children with their certificates, and the poor people in society who were not able to move, or who moved and were not able to sponsor, their children again will not have a place. Then marginalization will erupt from marginalization.
Yes, I will get to Mr. Fombu. Before I go, you are a Seseko traditional ruler in your native town, Seseko Eyongta. What have you done personally as a traditional ruler to help children go back to school this year?
Well, thanks very much, Kilian. First of all, I would like to say that I won't want to unveil what we are trying to do. And the reason is that one of the reasons why the separatists extended their lockdown to 1 month is based on this unnecessary publicity and advertisement that is going on with the back to school issue. Because first of all, we realized that the pain about the crisis with back to school was localized, dependent on some areas. Because while some areas are more intense, there are other areas where things are moderate, and other areas where it is less. And so when we continue to want to give an impression that there is normalcy, it poses a problem because there is no normalcy yet. And so we have carried out a series of actions.
Should people, I know groups of people this weekend who are friends, have Senator Enwe Francis, who donated heaps upon heaps of books, exercise and textbooks to so many children to go back to school in his locality. I also have Honorable Njume Peter from the Southwest, Enwe is from the Northwest, who also went down to Ikondo Titi and then gathered almost a whole village of students, pupils and students, and donated material to them to go back to school. Are you saying that these things should not be made public because we are afraid of people who will come and disrupt activities?
Yes, that is what I'm saying, because the people you just
so
cited...
we should live in hiding?
Yes, we need to live in hiding because the situation...
And give them the prominence?
Yes, I'm very serious with what I'm saying, Killian, because what we are saying here about the one month lockdown, if it goes operational as it is going to go to at least 50%, all what we are saying here will not help it. We are trying to talk about concrete things that can help. And I am telling you without any fear or favor that the degree of publicity that is being granted by partisan politicians in particular who go to do this thing, we know they are doing it with double intentions. Because they are doing so with a campaign aspect in mind. Despite
it's campaigning the wrong thing.
Yeah, it is a wrong thing because they have not yet opened campaigns, as far as I know. And we are saying that in the two regions, we have a problem. There is insecurity. And even the other parliamentarian you talked about who went to Ikondo Titi, I still doubt if he went by road, because I know most often he goes there by water. So if he goes by water,
that's a means of
let me be serious.
Senator Emilia doesn't. I can see that. I not agree with you.
They don't need to agree with me. I didn't come to please anybody. I came to say things the way they are because I am saying it from experience, and I'm telling you with facts that why was last year the lockdown not put for one month? Why was it 2 years ago not put for 1 month? And I'm telling you that in my division where I come from, we have carried out activities for back to school. For example, if you want me to be concrete, in Upper Banyang, we have a project where I come from. I'm the chief designator for Tabe Second Class Chiefdom. So I am not only a Seseko, I'm truly a traditional ruler, already assigned by my family, by the royal family, and endorsed by the village. What I'm saying is that when the SDO of Manu was visiting the 4 subdivisions, when he came to Upper Banyang, we decided to do it without any partisan inclination. Some of us who are not partisans were included. And we did a smooth aspect that went safely. When it went to the 10 of Manfe subdivision, they gave it a political coloring. And immediately they left. Those boys attacked and thought that it was a party something that came into the picture.
Yeah,
when they went to Umojo, they did it the Upper Banyang style, and it was safe.
This is how terrorism is defined.
Yes.
Anything that ignites, causes fear and panic,
yes,
is called terrorism.
Agreed.
So you cannot come here, sit, and you endorse terrorism.
That is talk for TV. We are talking about pragmatism. What is there now is that people need to be pragmatic. These boys exist in places. When they kill people there, you don't talk about they being terrorists. Those who have died now, what have we done talking on TV to help their families? We are talking about people's safety. We are talking about the schools starting without these schools being attacked. And I'm telling you that in the places where there will be lobbying, in the places where there will be understanding, schools will go there even if those armed boys are there. I can tell you without any fear or favor that even in some zones where the issue is very tense, schools went on last year.
Now, let me give you an example of a place without any publicity in the Southwest, where the community came up and said, no, this thing must end in our village.
Agreed.
Go to Bangem, and then you're going to see there's no terrorism there. People go to their farms, they carry out development projects because they sat up and said that this is going to end. So we thought that you should be preaching this type of message to your people that they should come together and then kill what everybody is condemning.
Killian,
now, okay, I'll come back.
I have a problem with what you are trying to say. Let me make it clear to you.
Yeah.
No, you are trying to get it wrong. I didn't say that we should not fight those boys. I am saying that we are talking about back to school now. And our focus is how to make sure that schools begin. And the strategies are not theory, like what you are saying. For example, the people of
Bangam,
for example,
they become practical.
Let me tell you something. In Memphis Central, for example, where we come from, there is a decision concerning Memphis Central that terrorism or those boys in guns cannot operate. When they hit Egbeko, Egbeko was not out of Memphis. In Upper Banyang, for example, in Tinto, which is my subdivisional headquarters, there is no act of those boys being there. But how do you move to get to Tinto for you to carry out your activities? So I am being pragmatic.
No, this is what we want you to do.
In my village.
This is what we want.
In my village.
No, you are not an island. You are an enlightened
I
person.
thought that you will have the largesse of telling us how you got to the point in Tinto that the boys are not there.
Yeah, that is exactly what
because there now, if I understand you very well, if you are at the point where there are no boys in Tinto, it means there is a strategy that you have put in place. Consequently, schools will go on in Tinto.
And
if I understand,
that should be exported to the neighboring villages.
Now, if Tinto, if I went to carry Sekoyon, so I know what you're talking about.
Sure.
How will you help Kembong?
Yes, exactly.
How will you help Bisongobang in Chang so that there's normalcy? That should be where our problem is. Our problem should not be the fact that it is because Tinto is safe that things should go on normally in my new division. No.
I agree with you.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying
Tell
to say.
Manfred Center.
Good.
Tell Manfred Center what you did.
That is
tell
why.
Bisongobang, tell Okoyon, tell Bachon, tell Bacho Akagbe what you did.
I just said so, and you both said I was endorsing. That's why I told you that you did not get what I said. I told you that I'm being pragmatic. I have given you 3 ways to handle the situation. And instead of you seeing it as positive, you took it negative. And I wanted to tell you that we have done so in our area, and it is working.
What did you do? Because you have not said what you did.
I gave, and he said that it is wrong. I did.
We have to.
I will give you later.
Okay.
I did. He said he was wrong.
See,
but it was working in my place.
Yes, we are looking at the measures that have been put in place, as we say, for this school year to go hitch-free. We're talking about distance learning in the Ministry of Secondary Education. Mr. Fombo Julius is coordinator general for teaching of computer science. Yes, tell us exactly what you develop this distance learning and then virtual library that I hear you have in the Ministry of Secondary Education.
Yeah, thank you, Killian. I think there have been a lot of innovations in the Ministry of Secondary Education, and the distance education concept was developed, introduced by Professor Nalova, the Minister of Secondary Education, to make the school system resilient, as she puts it. You see, the days of COVID, that made it possible for us to, for students to have their lessons while others in other countries were not able to have lessons. That process has evolved and is carrying out the digitalization process of the Ministry of Secondary Education. And in that process of digital education, at the time we started with lessons, where our teachers actually teach, and their lessons are recorded. And we have had now more than 10,000 lessons that has been recorded. So these lessons now are with teachers in school, they are available for students, they are the regions. So this is a major aspect which makes our school system resilient. And one of the important innovation which is going to go in this year is the unique identifier for students. I think that is a major change in our country, which we should really admire and acclaim for.
Tell us how it works.
Okay. 4 years ago, the minister introduced electronic payment of school fees. What does this mean? Students and their parents, instead of taking the money to the school to be paid, they pay it through an electronic platform. And through that process, schools have been paying their fees. Students have been paying, so students have been paying fees, parents have been paying fees. Now, after 2-3 years, the minister now said each student should have a unique ID. So that number that is given to a student, for all students who have been paying their fees, they already have their numbers because their names are already in a database, Minisex database. So your name is already a Minisex database. So what you need to do now is just to go to that platform. You write on any browser cactusscholar.cm. Once you type cactusscholar.cm, a page opens and they ask for your name and your school. Once you put in your name and your school, your number is gotten. If you have been paying fees for the last 2 years, we paid fees last year, you already have a unique ID. So when the minister says that people should not crowd in order to do registration, she means it. Because for the students who have paid fees for the last year, you already have a unique number.
Yes, and this has stamped down corruption because money is not going through hands. When we knew about corruption in schools, Connect talks about that. I'll come back to you. BCLB, you have been sitting, I expected you to come about. So you've listened to all these innovations. What do you say?
Well, the good thing is that a lot of things have been done. And as journalists, we have that responsibility to educate the masses because that is what we are trained for. And that is why, like I mentioned earlier, the Camera Today project is out to train student journalists. It's a project for digital journalism. We keep complaining that the kind of information that people receive has gone up, it has gone down. For those who are in the newsrooms, when they receive interns, it's disheartening that at times you receive an intern who is maybe second or third year in journalism and they don't even know what a lead is. They don't know what the canons of journalism is all about. And then we also have this problem of when students finish from their studies, I'm talking higher education, when they are done with their studies, they are looking for jobs because as a parent, when you're finished paying fees, the next thing you're expecting to hear is, okay, dear mother or dear father, I got a job in this place. But the problem is, are they fully equipped to be able to carry on these responsibilities? Can they carry out the task? So that is why we thought it wise that it is necessary for them to start having hands-on skills while they are students. We cannot hammer the point of volunteerism enough because what happens is most students, when they go to school, from school back to the house, and then they don't have any opportunity to practice what they are learning. And then it's also disheartening to think that, okay, we have practical fields. Imagine someone teaching medicine when they have never practiced. You can imagine the kind of catastrophe that is going to produce because they'll just be speaking theory and they will not blend theory and practicals. We have journalism institutions where those who are teaching journalism have never practiced. They have just gone to school, degree, master's, PhD, and then they come and they are teaching. So they are just teaching you based on the textbook. I applaud journalism institutions that have taken the initiative to bring in those who are practicing to come and teach. But now there is need for these students to practice.
So you are preparing them so that
yes, exactly.
Back to school gives
we are going to be accompanying the teachers. Through seminars, workshops, because we know that with workshops it's on a specific thematic. So we are started talking with the administrations of some of these institutions, and we are going to work with the student governments or student unions depending on how they are structured it in their schools, such that we bring them on board through this project. They are trained through workshops, seminars, and then it's also to bridge the generational gap. The way journalism was practiced back then is not the way it was practiced. Can you bear with me that the training you had while you were in school is not the same training I had, and it's not the same training that those who are in school now are going to have.
Well,
journalists are the backbone of the country. If we don't have people who can give us the right information, there's going to be a problem. Seseko was talking about the publicity that we have been doing. If people are not trained on how to diffuse the information that they receive, it's going to be a problem. And then there is a catch. We bridge that generational gap. We link you up with those who are already practicing, such that they hold your hand. We link you up with mentors. And then we have a partnership with VIMA, the Victoria International Media Merit Awards, which is run annually. such that these young ones are trained right from the base. If you need to recruit and you have already had the opportunity to work with people who are practicing, it becomes easier because now when you're absorbing this person, you will not have a lot of teaching to do. It's the same thing in school. When you have to bring in a teacher, if you know that if you have had the possibility of seeing this person practice, it becomes easier because you know this person understands what they are doing.
Yes,
you're not taking them from scratch.
Thank you very much. We wish that's going to enrich the preparations back to school that is starting in a matter of hours from now. I go back to Sisiko, a young Ta. I hope that you have had a bit of calm because you and the senator were so hot. I had to.
I think we have reconciled along the line.
Okay.
Somehow, I hope so.
Okay.
I hope she's gotten me better now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we have about 9 minutes to go to the end of this program, and we're going to look at the way forward. The way forward. What do we do at our level? What do we advise other people around the country, not only Northwest, Southwest, to have a free, safe back to school 2024? I'm going to start with you.
Well, I think first of all, as at the level of schools, the ministries have given us enough guidelines. They gave us enough time to do preparations. And so for now, it is left at the level of the different schools to have done the necessities. Because as the senator was saying, any school that up to now has not yet carried out things like administrative meetings, staff meetings, it's not yet talking about a timetable, the classrooms are not yet ready in terms of benches, the blackboards, the lightings, and those basic things, means the school either does not exist in Cameroon or is not conscious of what they have to do. At the level of the parents too, we need to say that the registration process is a problem. In most of the private schools, registration goes sometimes up to December, up to November, and the parents have in mind that when students are old, they don't need to register them when school begins. It's always a problem. At the level also of the issue of textbooks, we must say here that we talked about it in one other program here in your TV house, where the books are not available. And parents are already complaining because when they go and come back and say they don't see this or this textbook, we worry how the teachers are going to teach effectively. At the level of the teachers, we need to be conscious in terms of what happened last year in terms of our different subjects first, and what we intend to do this year at our individual levels. If individual teachers decide to better their results and their subjects, then it will become a general process, and then the school will be better.
Yes, Julius.
Yes,
the way forward.
Yes, the way forward. I think we only want to emphasize on the use of the unique ID. We want to encourage everybody, as the minister have already put it forth. And as I talked about, for students who registered last year, for those who are coming new, the platform is available and they can be introduced. Okay. And the principals have the process on doing that. We have also put out documents like science virtual labs. All these are processes that the Ministry of Secondary Education have prepared to make sure that the year round is free.
Thank you very much, Senator. What are some of the challenges of private school that we have? Siseko Yongta was just enumerating some of them.
I wish to dwell first and foremost about the public schools before I get to the private institutions. Because most people who have been displaced, that's where my heart is bleeding. Most people have been displaced at trying to get their children registered into public institutions. And the PTA levy, I beg your pardon, is 25,000 francs, the ceiling. Because I sought to find out from the minister whether it's been increased or it's the same. She says it's 25,000 francs. And that no crowding anywhere. Parents should pay fees wherever they are through Momo money. No other story about money. I know that corruption is an intricate value that exists within I talk about teaching because I have been a teacher myself for 23 years. So I can speak for the teaching core. That money is not very compatible with the setting of schools. So if you see her trying to clean clean that aspect, because parents have been complaining how I paid fees, receipt was not given, I registered my child, the GC was not written, and this and that. So all of that now, she's narrowed it down to Momo money. So the emphasis on that, I'm speaking to my parents who have been displaced, that don't pay money to anybody. Go and pay through Momo, and the PTA levy is 25,000. That said, with the private institution, I also want to plead with proprietors and proprietresses, because there is this general cry from teachers that because we are functioning in an equilibrium system, where you self-perpetuate your own school, you collect fees, and then the teacher's cry is not taken care of. I'm using this medium to say we are our problems, because when you have a school as a proprietor, while the child is the center, that takes 50% of the NOP, the teacher that you entrust the child into because should be happy to have a stable mind and deliver the lessons.
We are happy this is coming from proprietors.
Coming from a proprietor and a teacher.
And a teacher.
Yes.
We just want to thank you for that and wish that others should follow your example.
Yes.
I'm going to ask, there is this unique identifier we've talked about. Mrs. Namundu, tell us what are some of the advantages in 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you very much, Kilian.
I say that because it's very important.
Yeah, it is
it
very,
cuts
very
down on, and it can eliminate corruption.
Exactly.
It does so many other things.
Yes, the unique identifier number is going to help us. The students will be identified all over the National Republic. And it's going to help the Ministry of Secondary Education to know the student population in Cameroon, in secondary schools. It is also going to help schools, those in charge of running the schools, the principals, the PTA management board, to better manage their resources. So there will be checks and balances. The unique identifier is also a tool that the minister has brought in to guarantee safe schools in Cameroon, because one, it is going to help in the aspect of the health. It has a pedagogic, healthy, and humanitarian orientation. If we look at the healthy part of it, is that the student upon admission in the platform, if you just a click on the platform, you'll be able to identify the student. If the student has a health problem, it can easily be identified. So it's going to provide data in schools for minor and major health issues. And it will better help the school authorities to plan, especially at the level of infirmary, what to purchase like drugs. It has a humanitarian connotation, because it is still going to help the schools to be able to identify children living with disabilities. You know, Ministry of Secondary Education is practicing an inclusive education system in Cameroon. So it's going to help us identify students living with disabilities and requiring special needs.
We don't have much time left. And
the last is going to help us to reduce violence in school.
I think that's very important.
Yes.
A student will not commit a crime here and then go and get admitted into one other school without having track. And the last tool another tool that the minister has brought is the helpline. The helpline is there. It's a toll-free line, 1530, that students, teachers, and parents are supposed to dial in case of psychosocial and pedagogic problems. You get counselors to answer your questions. Thank you.
What I would like to say is to parents, please support the children, encourage them, and make even the home conducive for studies. Because we have some parents who don't even give their children the opportunity to study while at home. And to the students themselves, be responsible. Because at the end of the day, your certificate carries your name. And if you don't study hard, you're not going. The certificate will not. You will not be able, exactly. So at the end of the day, you are responsible for the kind of results that you are going to have, and we wish them a good academic, academic year.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about Mrs. Senator Nkeze Emilia, who is a proprietress. She is an educationist at a very high level. We want to thank you, Seseko Dr. Eyong Ta, educationist, civil society activist, traditional ruler by your right. Thank you, Bizel B. Mafo. You are a journalist who came here today. Thank you enormously, Madam Namondo Bridget Ngomba, who is the technical advisor to the Minister of Secondary Education, and to you, Mr. Fombo Julius, who you are Inspector Coordinator General for the teaching of computer science in the Ministry of Secondary Education. Ladies and gentlemen, greater thanks go to you because you gave us your time, your attention to watch Press R today. If there's anything you miss out on Press R today, you will watch this program rebroadcast on Monday at 2:30 on CRTV Premium. You are watching now, and on Wednesday after the news in the French language, that's at 9 p.m. On CRTV News. Thank you enormously for watching, and God bless you.
Thank you.